What if the perfect life you see online, or even in your closest friends, is nothing but a carefully constructed illusion? Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on someone I thought I knew inside and out, only to discover a tangled web of hidden realities beneath their flawless facade. Get ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about perfection. Lena's life looked like someone else's highlight reel stitched together to make normal feel enviable. She posted pictures of linen sheets that caught light in the exact way a home magazine would want, but in real life linen looks creased and used. Her coffee always steamed in a frame-perfect curl, and the houseplants on her windowsill looked impossibly lush. She wore shirts that draped like they'd been cut by a stylist and boots that clicked on pavement the way a metronome clicks time. People left hearts. People left comments, goals, inspiring, teach me your secrets. I would find myself reading the comments at 2 a.m., thinking, if she can make breathing look so composed, maybe I can learn it from her. Maybe I could borrow that air. I wanted authenticity, and she sold an idea that looked like it. I wanted closeness, and she gave a curated version of it, a practiced intimacy that smelled like vanilla and commitment. I told myself I wasn't jealous, but I was. Quietly, at night, when the city was soft and my apartment hummed with the small persistent sound of the refrigerator, I felt the tiny, needle-prick pain of envy. And under that pain lived loyalty. We grew up on the same block. We shared scraped knees from the tree in Mrs. Dalloway's yard. She used to show me her childhood drawings and ask what color the sky felt like to me. I thought that history mattered. The first small fracture appeared at her rooftop birthday. Lanterns looked like glass moons above us, and someone had set out a cheese plate with clusters of grapes that gleamed. People laughed and drank warm wine, and Lena glowed in kerosene light. But there was a man who never moved from the edge of the terrace, a figure who lingered as if waiting for the right moment to step in. He didn't approach, he observed. His presence felt like a punctuation mark you didn't expect in the middle of a sentence, awkward and ominous. "Did you see that guy?" I asked, nudging Lena as she reached for a sliced fig. She brushed it off with a smile that turned too quick at the edges. "It's nothing. Some friend of a friend." But when she laughed, her shoulders tightened in a way I noticed, because I knew the small tells, those tiny betrayals that let you know someone is lying without meaning to. I watched her move through the crowd and felt, for the first time in years, that we were walking different maps of the same city. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a single line that had no name attached. "Meet me at the corner of 5th and Pine. Alone." It was the sort of message that makes your throat go dry. I considered ignoring it, because ignoring is the polite way in which fear sometimes gets a vacation, but curiosity is louder than caution when it feels personal. At the corner, there was nothing but a flash drive duct taped to the lamppost. Whoever had left it wanted me to find it in plain sight. My fingers, clumsy with adrenaline, peeled back the tape like someone opening an unpromising gift. Back in my apartment, I hooked my laptop to the drive. The folders were unlabeled, just raw files. Video loaded, and the first frame hit like cold water. Lena, unmade, bruised, eyes swollen, hands trembling. She was crying in what looked like a storage room. A muzzle of duct tape that had been ripped away hung loose across a chair. The camera angle suggested someone had placed the device deliberately at chest height to capture the exact expression of pleading. Then the camera panned. A man, his face interrupted by a thin white scar that ran from ear to jaw, stepped into view. Something about his bearing, the calm, patient tilt of his head, made my stomach somersault. I'd seen that scar before, in an accidental photograph maybe, or in a memory I hadn't known I had. The footage was brutal because it didn't explain. It only showed. The lack of context felt deliberate, like giving me one chess piece and expecting me to see the whole board. I called Ethan. My voice got small when I said his name. "Tell me what's going on." He answered in the dim, practiced calm of someone belonging to polished photographs. "You shouldn't see this," he said at first, voice clipped, measured. "It's complicated. It's better if you don't know." "Tell me anyway," I said, loud enough that the fridge hummed like a nervous echo. He hesitated for a heartbeat that was too long. "Sometimes stories are constructed," he said quietly. "Maybe what you saw was part of a narrative someone built. It's not always straight truth. People frame things. You have to be careful with what you believe." The words landed like polished stones. He didn't say Lena's name. He didn't defend her. The way he spoke about narratives made me think of scripts and cameras and rehearsed lines. My heart squeezed into a small hard thing. If this was a construction, who built it? And why would anyone make Lena the center of a story meant to bend people? After that call, Lena's messages grew sparse. Calls unanswered. A story that once pinged on my phone like a warm light now went dark for hours. Neighbors clucked their tongues. She left in a rush, one said to me at the grocer, voice low. Looked like she'd seen something that had hurt her. I asked more, and the story grew thinner, as if everyone worried about being the next face in the rumor mill. Ethan's demeanor stayed polished. His smile online gleamed in the same exact way, and yet his eyelids sometimes flickered with fatigue. It was the kind of tired that looks like truth, but could also be a performance of tiredness. The more I watched him, the more I felt the ground shift under our friendship. I had known Lena's cadence, the pauses she made between words, the way she twisted a folio between her fingers when she lied by accident, and now I tried to map those tells onto the bright pictures. It felt like trying to read a book whose pages had been rearranged. Another package came, no return address, slipped under the door in the soft dead of the night. Another flash drive nested inside. This one had more data and a cruel taxonomy, file names that read like lab notes, phase 1_trigger, subject analysis. Photos flashed of Lena laughing with Ethan at a park, then of the scarred man in a corridor, arms folded, stubble catching light. Tags appeared in the metadata, Timestamps, GPS coordinates, and a ledger entry that made my skin go cold. Subject A, monitor stress, increase social dissonance. Subject A, the idea of being cataloged like produce made me want to vomit. The ledger made everything clinical, surgically stripped of the messy human parts one trusted: memory, consent, and hesitation. I realized someone was not only watching, someone was designing the watching. The more I dove into the files, the more patterns happened like footprints in fresh snow. Lists of names. Checkboxes. References to consent with notes. Guardian signed 2005, verify custodial record. There were references to universities and a corporate-sounding name I vaguely recognized from grants and ethical review panels. Someone had taken the language of care, RBs, consent forms, funding proposals, and turned them into scaffolding for a project that manipulated lives. I found a photo that knotted my stomach, a childhood snapshot of me on a swing, chewed-up paper cup in hand, the background of my playground fuzzy. On the back, typed in block letters, Subject A, baseline, introduce maternal anchor. My name typed next to it. Someone had taken my littlest moments and used them as a blueprint. It was intimate to the point of violence. I sat in the dark, the city a smear of distant headlights through my blinds, and my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You're closer than you think. Keep going or vanish. The message looked dance floor cold on the screen. I put the phone down as if it burned me. The lull settled, the hush after thunder. But the hush was only the beginning. I realized, in that long-held breath, that I'd already stepped past a threshold. The perfect life I'd envied was not only curated, it was constructed. And whatever came next would either expose the people behind it, or erase the witnesses.